With the Witch Queen fast approaching, now is the perfect time to begin practicing for that day one clear. Who knows what tricks Atheon has up her scaly sleeves, but this Guardian refuses to be caught off guard. G'day Guardians, Roguey here. My day one team and I have been hard at work taking on the toughest raid challenge in the game right now. Master Vault of Glass. Since that's what's been occupying the majority of my time on Destiny, I wanted to share with you an incredibly reliable Boots of the Assembler loadout that's sure to make your next Master Vogue much easier. Matt and I would love to hear which loadout you are planning to take into your first attempt at the Witch Queen raid. So leave a comment below and we'll pick out our favorite one to win a 3-month subscription to GamePass Ultimate. Boots of the Assembler are a Warlock exotic added in Season of the Splicer. They have a pretty simple perk. While you are standing in a healing rift, Noble Seekers are continuously spawned, seeking out your allies and healing them. But that's not all. Each time an ally is healed by a Noble Seeker, your rift's duration is extended. Boots of the Assembler work best when you and your fire team are constantly under fire, holding down a position from multiple angles. The Noble Seekers allow your fire team to spread out further, yet still receive the full benefit of a healing rift. The range and dexterity of these Seekers is no joke, meaning your allies can even reap the benefits from behind walls and around cover. As for the mods, we're running a pretty standard endgame setup. Fusion rifle ammo finders in our helmet, anti-champion and protective light in arms, void resistance plus concussive dampeners while also putting on taken charge in our chest, fusion scavenger and supercharge in the legs, and finally particle deconstruction in our bond. As is the trend with Warlocks, we want to make sure we are prioritizing recovery and intellect for our stat distribution. As we transmat down to Venus, our first objective is to open the Vault of Glass. This consists of splitting your fire team up into 3 teams of 2, each capturing a sync plate and defending it from waves and waves of incoming Vex. In my team, I defend the leftmost sync plate, but you'll find similar success in each of the sync plates using this strategy. My weapon loadout for this encounter is Accrued Redemption for the Overloads, Zealot's Reward for the Praetorians, and 1000 Voices for the Cyclops. Make sure to place your healing rift on top of the sync plate, as not only will this provide you the best vantage point available, allowing you to watch all of the spawn locations, but also if you stay there in your healing rift, you're going to continuously provide your allies with those Noble Seekers. The peace of mind that your allies are going to have because they are receiving constant healing will allow them to play way more aggressive than usual, which will help to keep the ads under control. As long as you communicate with your ally on overload spawns and cyclopses, then this pseudo encounter is a piece of cake. Into the Vault of Glass we delve, spelunking our way lower and lower until we come across the Templar. Now, phase 1 of the Templar encounter is where you will really see the incredible value that the Boots of Assembler provides. Once again, we find ourselves to the left-hand side of this encounter, our ally being Diabolica on his Thunder Crash Titan. We're going to be keeping our loadout relatively the same. We are just going to be swapping out Zealot's Reward for the Plug 1. This is due to the fact that Harpies in this encounter all have arc shields. The position of our healing rift is key for this to be a smooth encounter. I found placing it behind this pillar allows for our Seekers to support both our ally on the left, but also travel to the mid, should they ever wander a little bit over. From this position, we have a perfect line of sight on the Red Bar Goblins, the Barrier Hobgoblin, and the Sacrificial Wyvern to our left, and a safe window on our right for those pesky little Arc Harpies and the occasional gaggle of Goblins. Save your grenade for the cluster of Harpies, as if you aren't able to finish them off right away, the constant damage is going to prevent them from regaining their shields. As the encounter plays out, make sure you're keeping a watchful eye on your healing rift duration, ensuring for that 100% uptime. Realistically, we'll only actually need to leave our healing rift to gain more ammo. Now, it's tempting to try and focus down the champion the second they spawn, but I've often found that clearing out all the red bars first, giving that Barrier Hobgoblin a chance to get a little bit closer, close enough for our fusion rifle to deal full damage, is a much better approach. You'll want to be saving your Well of Radiance for the Sacrificial Wyverns, as even our mighty Noble Seekers cannot out-heal their damage. Try to pair yourself up with a class that has a high damage super, like a Thunder Crash or Nova Bomb, to easily deal with those wyverns. Otherwise, 1000 Voices or Sleeper Simulant makes short work of them thanks to the particularly strong particle deconstruction. The last threat in this encounter, the Overload Minotaur, spawns far enough away that we have ample time to prepare ourselves with a fully drawn arrow for an easy stun. These will spawn towards the end of the encounter, so make sure you have enough ammo to deal with both the Overload champions as well as the remaining wyverns. And there you have it. That covers phase 1 of the Templar encounter. This is probably the easiest encounter in the game, in my opinion. All you need to do is stay within your healing rift, make sure that your ally doesn't go too far up, and everything else just kind of plays out by itself. Phase 2, or as I like to call it, Xenophase, has us destroying oracles in the order that they spawn. For this encounter, we position ourselves into the small corridor where those Arc Harpies were spawning, as this allows us to cover 3 of the 7 total oracles. The value that Boots of the Assembler provides us here is unreal. Throughout this encounter, we are under fire from multiple hobgoblins, all positioned on the edges of the map, a seemingly endless supply of goblins, and the occasional Overload Minotaur. What is normally a high-stress encounter, resulting in our multitasking ability being stretched thin, is made simple thanks to the extended healing rift duration provided to us by Boots of the Assembler. Since our ally is constantly taking damage, our Noble Seekers are working overtime, keeping their health topped up and our rift at its maximum duration. This gives us 100% of our attention to reading the oracles and ensuring we are shooting them in the correct order. Finally, it's our turn to strike back at that cowardly Templar. Now, nothing much varies between the normal and master difficulty of this encounter, except we get to pull an old friend out of the vault. That's right, Anarchy makes an appearance in the Master Vault of Glass. Now, because I'm the Relic Runner, I like to set up a few Anarchy traps towards the back of the room, catching the Harpies as they spawn, removing their arc shields, allowing me to thin the herd. This has 2 positive effects. The first, it charges our super ability. That way, we can go ahead and fire off the Relic super, taking down the shield of the Templar. And secondly, it means there's a Harpy shooting at us. Once the Templar's shields are down, shield fly over to the waypoint, blocking its teleport. Doing this will spawn a set of Overload Minotaurs, meaning the longer your DPS team takes, the more dangerous the encounter. Your fire team should be using Sleeper Simulant for damage and 2 wells for sustain, as it takes little over 30 seconds to completely deplete the Templar's HP. If things get a little bit dicey while you're trying to block the Templar spawn, don't be afraid to drop the relic and throw down your own well just to stay alive. If your DPS team are on point, you should only have to worry about blocking 1 to 2 of the Templar's teleports before he finally drops that sweet, sweet loot. And would you look at that? First half of the raid done and we haven't even broken a sweat. That's the power of Boots of the Assembler. I remember running this back on my Hunter, constantly stressing about Smoke Bomb, refreshing it on Omnioculus, just to stay alive. As we move into the Gorgon Maze, it's nice to have a Smoke Bomb Hunter ready to walk us through, as not even Boots of the Assembler can save us from the Gorgon's gaze. Apart from the Overload Minotaur having a bit more HP and the addition of barrier hobgoblins towards the end of the encounter, Gatekeepers feels pretty similar across both difficulties. We're going to be changing up our loadout a little bit here, replacing Plug 1 with Cartesian Coordinate and Anarchy with Eyes of Tomorrow. If you haven't used Eyes of Tomorrow in this encounter, then you are missing out. Not only is it the most effective way for dealing with the goblins within the portals, it's just so much fun. I run secondary relic here, allowing me to help out our defenders on their first wave of overloads. Once we enter the portal, it's a quick relic handoff and straight into raining down heat-seeking missiles. Satisfying. After 6 waves total, the enemies will stop spawning. This is cute for you and the fire team to gather in the middle of the main room to defend one last conflux. Make sure to switch over to your anti-barrier weaponry, as each incoming wave of enemies will be joined by a barrier hobgoblin. Cue the wyverns, cue the loot chest. Atheon. the only thing standing between you and greatness. Loadout for this encounter is Hung Jury, Plug 1, and Sleeper Simulant. We like to tamper ever so slightly with this encounter, using a couple of tactical deaths to manipulate which Guardians are taken into Atheon's time streams. We have a Bubble Titan, 2 Warlocks, 1 with Divinity, stay within their ghosts until our remaining group of 3 have been teleported. Once again, we're on Relic duty. Ground pound the Gatekeeper, using heavy attacks to finish it off, and rejoin our allies for a quick cleanse. If you stand all the way to the back of this room, none of the adds will aggro on you, making this identical to normal difficulty. Kinetic Scout Rifle, whatever your preference, are best here for taking down the Oracles. If you're feeling confident, try to destroy the final Oracle right outside the portal to minimize travel time during DPS. As the Relic holder, this useless shield is your responsibility. Leaving it unattended for 10 seconds will result in a wipe, so don't take your eye off that countdown. The standard damage strategy applies: bubble at the back and a well in the middle. You'll likely need 2 wells to cover the entire damage phase and the eventual retreat once Atheon becomes immune. The only real changes between the standard and master difficulty are the oblivious hobgoblins within Atheon's time streams, the Arc Harpies in the main room, and Atheon's increased HP pool. Everything else is identical to standard. We typically knock this encounter out in about 3 damage phases, but don't stress if you go to 4. Although Atheon will enrage after the 4th damage phase and wipe the fire team. Keep your cool, hit your precision shots, and you should have no trouble taking down the raid boss of the Master Vault of Glass. Master difficulty has been a challenging and rewarding way to play Vault of Glass, and I would encourage anyone who has not given it a go yet to put this build together, rally your fire team, and plunder the Vault of Glass. The main source of difficulty that Master Mode brings is the increased damage output from all of the enemies, and Boots of the Assembler negates this completely. I hope you've enjoyed this guide to playing a Boots of the Assembler Warlock within Master Vogue. I'll see you in the next one, Guardians.